Sean at 6.
Gotcha. Jack hits the corner 3 here.
Mustache going again?
So I tried to trim it and it didn't go well. So I felt like I needed to hit the reset button. But we're gonna run back up the hill.
There you go.
Jack hits the corner 3 over here, and then the 3 on the wing after they cut it to 60 to 59. How key was that sequence? How big was he tonight?
Yeah, it was huge, right? And I think it was due to the work that he's put in, right? He comes in the gym every single day. We watch him, we work with him, and we believe he's a good shooter. He believes he's a good shooter, and sometimes you're going to have ups and downs throughout the season. And but more importantly, in that sequence, we began to offensive rebound, right? So we call those dagger threes, and it was created by his teammates. He moved to the right spot, trusted it, and knocked it home.
His support here, it seemed like this game meant a lot to him. He said he had to ask for a bunch of tickets and stuff. What's been the difference for him confidence-wise in these last few games? It seems like he's playing with as much confidence as he has all season.
He certainly knows his role, right? And he's always rebounded. He's always defended at a high level. He passes the ball. He plays like we play, right? I know he's only been here for however many games at this point, 18 games, whatever it is. And he's begun to shoot the ball, like we know he's capable of doing. And there's still other stuff for him to grow into, I think, this season that he can bring us. But right now, he, like the other guys, they're playing good basketball, and they're playing their role within the team. Sometimes it's Phil's turn to step up. Sometimes it's Max's. Sometimes Joe in the first half was very good. Zeb finishing it out, Firm and Luke, Brandon last game. They all have their moments, and they trust one another. And the game sometimes tells you what you need to do. And he didn't like it when I took him out, Phil. I was like, but Zeb's tired and you're tired, so you have to come out so you can go back in. I'm hot, coach.
I'm sure Phil doesn't ever like coming out of the game.
No, he has to come out the first 5 minutes of St. Louis. He was breathing heavy.
19-7 edge and fast break points. Was the transition game key tonight?
Yeah, when we finished rebounds, they ended up with 15. It helped our transition. They pressed a couple of times. We got ahead and got some easier baskets. But yeah, certainly that's always a key for us, is trying to get out in transition.
The magnitude of winning road games in this conference. Well, did you guys have conversations about that's how you separate from the pack?
The only way to win a championship in any league, right, is to win on the road. And certainly you have to take care of business at home. If you can win on the road, it puts you in a better position. It's early in the conference right now, and so not a ton of separation. But every game that you have is a chance to eventually do that. So this was a big game for both teams, and there'll be another big game coming for both teams. As we go our separate ways, and you just have to focus on each one.
You dropped a couple close games in the non-conference. Do you feel like you guys have learned to? This felt similar, but not down the stretch. Do you feel like you've learned to close out close ones?
Right? They're going to be tight games in conference, and you have to execute. And we talked about that in the timeouts. The execution, you can define that in a lot of different ways, but certainly it was like we've got to get stops right now. Yeah. We've got to trust our training and trust the things that we practiced, and trust the scouting report and what's coming. And then we have to execute on offense and get quality shots. And I think, down the stretch, we were able to do that.
Coach, we were just talking a little bit about you were talking a little bit about the depth in this team. It seems like on any given night, tonight you have 5 guys go for double digits, but it seems like on any given night you have 6 or 7 guys who could, go ahead and do that. How important has that been, I want to say, to the starting conference here,
Yeah, I think it's been important all year, right? And we were without Zeb early in the season, and then he began to come back, and our freshmen were getting in there a lot more. Brandon was getting a ton of minutes, and Michael was in there, and Fats was in there, and Terrence, some. And so, but our depth is really, as you go, I don't look at every team like that, in terms of figuring out how do we match up. I do know that we have quality players, and players that care about one another, and they're willing to let another guy do it and play off of that. And now it's my time. Oh, now it's your time. And I think that's what makes a true team.
And on top of that, you have a lot of guys, in this era of the transfer portal in college basketball, it's unique where you have, a handful of starters come back, a handful of guys who have experience in the A10 and who have been in the city. How important do you think that's kind of been to the sport?
I think it's definitely important. There's no question about it. I think in college basketball right now, the number one thing, from my perspective, I'm not speaking for anybody else, but it's retention of your own players. That's why it's great to see and play against St. Joe's, because that's when conference rivalries begin, and they happen that way because you're used to playing against the same guys each year, and they come back. That's good for the league, and it's good for the individual teams as well, and good for the universities. When kids come back like that. But it's also good for a guy like Phil Russell and a guy like Jack, Clark, to find a place where they feel at home. And so both are important, and certainly we've done well with that, this year.